Okay, okay. Okay. Looks like we're going.
Okay.
Technology is always fun. Anyway, so good to see everybody here. My name is Molly Oyua. I'm with Sacred Fire Creative. My guest today is Robin Tompkins, and we just talked about gender and diversity in the boardroom. So we are going to get to know you and also talk about that some more. Thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Awesome. So just to kind of fill people in on who you are, I always love to hear your story. So if you wouldn't mind indulging us and letting us just kind of know a little bit about who you are and how you got to where you are.
All right. I'm always, when someone says, tell your story, and I go, oh, it's boring. But I guess for whatever reason, folks would like to know. I came to Oregon about a little over 30 years ago. I am a New Yorker, arrived here shortly after law school. And after law school and passing the bar here, shortly thereafter, I had first 5 years in the prosecutor's office here in Multnomah County, working for Mike Shrunk. Then I went in-house at Portland General Electric in their legal department, assistant general counsel for a number of years, 9 years, and then moved into the director of federal affairs for them for the last 5 years that I was there. And then did a pivot into finance, moved over to Merrill Lynch, and worked with different companies, sort of small and mid-size, sort of doing cash management, a lot of succession planning and things along those lines, and also did some work in special needs trusts, which is an area that's near and dear to me as a mother of an adult special needs daughter. I have two daughters. Then did a little stint at retirement in 2014, but that got old after a year. Did a startup shortly thereafter, and now I find myself consulting in the consulting space. And so I work with C-suite individuals, mostly females, but some males, and executive directors, CEOs of nonprofits. Also work a lot with female founders of startup companies, and have been working in the space of placement for candidates for nonprofit and corporate boards, but not publicly traded. Which brings me full circle to why I'm doing what I'm doing now and the discussion that we'll have today. I had been tracking not only for the publicly traded companies, but private companies, how many women and minorities were being promoted to boards. And although we have had a lot of conversation in this area for a number of years, let's put it decades, not much has happened in not enough, at least as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of people are concerned. And I took note when California enacted legislation at the beginning of 2019, which addressed gender disparity and asked for publicly traded companies headquartered in California to take a look at that, and gave them a timetable where they needed to address the issue and bring women onto their boards. And as I saw that legislation be passed, and noted that just recently in Washington, Governor Inslee also signed something very similar, started to talk to folks here and reached out to our governor's office to sort of test the waters. As I was doing that, coincident to that, last year, November of 2019, came to my attention that 2020 Women on Boards, which is a national organization,
Mhm.
and actually I should say international organization, was having its annual event, which is also a fundraiser that's held every November, and it has been for a number of years. That organization is 10 years old. In fact, this year is their 10th anniversary. And last year was the first year that they had it in Portland. And I was invited to attend, and I got to know the chair last year, Katie Kelly. And not only was I impressed with the panel and the topic and the palpable desire of the attendees in that room, um, I got co-opted to be the chair for this year's event and thought that that would be, oh, relatively easy. But then COVID happened and
Mhm.
nothing has been relatively easy this year. So I find myself, just a couple of weeks away from the event that will take place here in November. But it dovetails nicely into the work that I have been doing since I call it, I was a baby lawyer back in the day when I first came to Oregon and was working with the Oregon State Bar through their Affirmative Action Committee, the Diversity Task Force, and then in various capacities at the different companies that I've worked with, and then in my consulting practice. So it's obviously a lifelong uh, labor of love and passion and importance to me. And interestingly enough, as it has ebbed and flowed through the years, this year seems to be a pivotal time for a lot of issues. And we're also seeing the issue of diversity be front and center in many ways. And so it's very topical again.
Yes, yes, it's an important topic, and I think that's what brought the two of us together. Um, I really appreciate you telling us your story of how you got to where you are, and also talking about your work with women on boards. And so, do you want to share, sort of like the progress or what's been happening with women on boards? Do you have a pulse on that, kind of nationwide or here in Oregon?
Well, I think as has been announced by the gender diversity report that you can find on the national website for 2020 Women on Boards. I believe the statistics, and I should have them in front of me, but you can click on the website to confirm, is between 22 or 23%. It's up slightly this year.
Mhm.
Uh, that organization does the tracking of the the Russell Index, and that's how they originally came with their name, 2020, to get 20% uh, representation of women on boards by the year 2020. And so, this being sort of their anniversary year, they're going to have a global sort of event on November 12th. We're so pleased to announce that Melinda Gates has just signed up as one of the esteemed speakers, along with Valerie Jarrett, Brian Moynihan, and a whole list of other folks. But to really say, okay, well, that's a good marker, but that's not the end of our work. And as I don't want to take the thunder away from the global event, but we've got a lot more work to do. Um, Last year, in this past year, California has reported just slightly above, I think it's about 33% additional women on corporate boards since the beginning of 2019, since that legislation was passed. And that's very important because a lot of folks will say, oh, we don't need the sort of heavy-handedness of being told what to do, but we can sit around for years and years and years and say, oh yeah, this is a great initiative, we all support it, but if we don't see numbers trending in the right direction, and it isn't until we put things in place that really calls on folks to say, well, what really is holding us up from adding more women to our boards, and causing companies to really do that introspective work. I'm pleased that so many of the sponsors that we have here in Oregon are companies that have been doing that kind of work for a number of years now. Um, but again, that said, I think it's really incumbent uh, on all of us to share the information so that women who are board ready, and when I say board ready, these are usually women who have either have extensive P&L experience, have extensive experience with complex compensation issues or financial issues, so that they are ready to serve on the committees of boards, whether it's the audit committee, the comp committee, governance committee. Then we're also seeing interesting trends now over the last few years of boards not limiting themselves to these specific areas, but looking for more broader experience. Obviously, top of mind is crisis management and risk management, as we can see from COVID, some of the issues that many national, international companies have been confronting. And then also in the diversity space, because these are huge issues that we are dealing with. Uh, as a company and a corporation sort of evaluates its relationship to its communities, to its customers, its stakeholders, and to its employees. In fact, I read, I think within the last 6 weeks, one of my fellow leadership committee members sent to me an article of two shareholder lawsuits that were brought against corporations recently for lack of diversity on boards. This is an issue that is top of mind for not only the constituent, sort of the affinity group, but for people who invest in companies. And they are encouraging their companies to really broaden their perspectives. So we need to explain to women and share with them the kinds of, if they're interested, the kinds of experience they can think about gaining in their career to position them for open spaces on boards. And then not everybody is interested in board service, but that doesn't mean that they don't want to be an ally and that they aren't keen in promoting very talented women that they know of. And so, how you can make sure that you are supporting and promoting some of the excellent candidates that we have, that we find ourselves working with oftentimes in other capacities. And that maybe instead of being passive about that, being a little bit more active about how we promote women into these positions.
Wonderful. You brought up many excellent points. And I think it is important to point out for, for everybody out there, if you have a chance to share this, share the message, it is important, even if you are somebody who is not interested in being on a board, right?
Exactly.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the global event? I understand there's amazing speakers. Is there, there's a theme, I'm sure. Is there a certain goal that's going on with the event? What's the main reason that we want to tune in?
Well, um, well, let me just frame it. I mentioned at the very beginning that 2020 Women on Board started 10 years ago as a national organization. This year it's international. It's also reaching out into Mexico City, Zurich, London, I believe also Madrid, along with a number of cities and states in the US. This year, instead of being just focused primarily on Portland and maybe Vancouver, we've pivoted and it's an Oregon wide effort this year. So the way that it's set up, and this came to be because of COVID and the pivot to going virtual, as most organizations find themselves has sort of had to say, well, we can't gather in same spaces that we used to. What are we going to do? So the global event will be on November 12th at 9 a.m. and it will be broadcast globally, hence the name. And along with a long list of esteemed speakers, not just from the United States, but we have representatives from London and countries abroad. It will be a celebration of the achievements that have occurred over the past 10 years and really preeminent leaders speaking directly to why this is such a crucial issue today. And then in the weeks that follow, the 3 weeks that follow, the different cities or states have their events. Ours is November 18th, and it will be 11:30 to 1:30. Now, whereas the global event is pre-taped, although it's a show that airs simultaneously to all the cities, it'll be pre-taped because, as you can well imagine, with the large list of speakers, they have to work around their schedules. But all of the individual events will be live. And the unique format that they have, it'll open and we'll be able to present data that is specific to our region. Then we have a panel, and here we have 4 wonderful speakers that will be speaking just around sort of the issues here in our region, and they'll be sharing their own stories. And then what happens toward the back end of the local programs is there is 45 minutes to an hour of breakout sessions. And in those breakout sessions on Zoom, they'll be facilitated by director coaches. So individuals that can speak from personal experience and answer questions that our attendees might have. So as opposed to being sort of just an event where you get information, this is really an executive leadership opportunity, and it's an opportunity to network with other women and men who are passionate about this issue, can give guidance, can put you in contact with other individuals who may be in a similar industry, may have similar level of experience, and it's all to enhance your own development and also enhance the pipeline that we can reach into as these positions become open. So we encourage anyone who's interested to participate. Again, it's November 18th. From 11:30 to 1:30, and more information can be found at the website. And we also have a LinkedIn group. You can put in Oregon Conversation on Board Diversity, and it'll pop up, and you'll have information about it there too.
That's great. Thank you so much for all your great work, Robin, and for sharing this today. I encourage everybody to attend and or share the event, especially with other women and leaders that you know in the community who have a passion for this. I think it's really important to make sure that everybody is aware of what's going on and that this is a conversation that is it is a global conversation. It's one that we can continue. It's one that you're obviously very passionate about. Anything else that you wish people knew about um, your work here or the event coming up?
Um, no, I think that if they have questions, to feel free to reach out. They can contact me at robin at olive-hill.co. If they want more information about the event, or just put in 2020 Women on Boards in their browser, and that'll pop up the information. Um, there are many companies here in Oregon that are very passionate about this issue. And just in closing, some of them, the Greenbrier companies, Northwest Natural, PGE, Tillamook is a recent sponsor. Um, I know I'm not doing justice because I'm leaving many out, but um, not only those companies, but smaller entities. There are people and companies that you can connect with. There are opportunities to get more experience along your career path to position you for these openings. And we would encourage you, if you're curious about it, to definitely sign up, tune in, and reach out, and we'll connect you with someone.
That's great. I'll be sure to put this information also in the chat underneath these live broadcasts so that anybody who is interested and watching this on the replay, that you'll have that information. And again, thank you so much, Robin, for sharing. Really appreciate all of you who are tuned in now or watching us on the replay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.